So, ladies, I was watching this show on Prime this week, and it's called Unseen. And something that impacted me was one of the people that were talking about this lady, about her experience, said, my grandma was a drug addict, my mama was a drug addict, I'm a drug addict, and my daughter is a drug addict. And her daughter was murdered by this individual that killed 11 women in his house. They were crack addicts, most of them. And, it got discovered and all of that. So that's what the show is about. Welcome to Three Voices Unfiltered. We're your hosts,
Ranisha,
Teresa, and Suzanne. And around here, nothing is off limits. We talk about everything, the real, the messy, the hilarious, and the inspiring. So let's get into it. But it really impacted me how generational trauma just keeps moving on and on and on until somebody says, I'm stopping it, I'm doing it. And it seems to me that either you're that's all you know, you're going to keep doing what everybody else did before you, or you're going to say, I am not going to be like them. Right. Have you ever heard that before?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So this was really interesting. And out of the whole show, that's what impacted me, because then the lady that got murdered, she had children. And they were not, there was this one young boy of one of the ladies that got murdered, and he turned it around. He said he didn't call his mother. He called her Crystal. And it was a very good show. But the point is that it was about generational trauma, what we experience from the trauma that the people before us did. And sometimes you hear, my mama did it that way, or my daddy did it that way. And how do we navigate that? That's tough,
It
right?
really is tough, because a lot of times you will say it's in the bloodline. Right. It's in our DNA. So if it's in our DNA, then how do you break that? How do you combat that?
I don't know if I believe.
I was getting ready to say they believe
DNA.
that it's in their DNA, but it really isn't.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe it's in the DNA. Though, I believe it's spiritual, though.
There you go.
And I mean, we can go down a whole road about the spirituality piece of it.
Yeah.
But it's something that you have to be very intentional about removing, so that it doesn't continue to happen in your family.
A lot of people don't believe that that's real. They don't believe. I'm just telling you, a lot of people, they do not believe that that's real. And when you start talking about that, and you start talking about demonic forces and all of that,
influences and all
then
that,
then they look at you like you're crazy. And I think it's because they just don't understand.
Yeah, it's funny. Why would people believe in aliens and ghosts?
Right.
But you don't believe in demonic forces?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't understand that part, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah, and because it's in the Bible.
Yeah. So some things that somebody might say is, what if things we survived are the same things that our kids are struggling with now?
Say that again, Suzanne. I'm sorry.
What if the things we survived are some of the things that our kids are struggling with now?
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, and you can see it.
And you know the pattern.
Yeah.
And especially if you overcame that particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
I see tough. That's a good point, because I see my daughters pick the wrong people for their partners. And I have definitely done that. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that. My mom has been married since she was a teenager. I picked that up somehow. And now I see with my daughters dating, all the struggles they have with their partners.
So I wonder if it's, are we setting a picture of, hey, if this happened, it's okay? Because especially, let's say your daughter thinks that you're a smart, intelligent woman. So that's not a question. And then but my mom did it. So, and my mom is smart, so it must be kind of okay, right? Maybe that, I don't know.
because they also saw me kick them out and be done with them.
I know. I have a family member whom was abused. Don't know if that person is still being abused.
Oh gosh.
And that person had a daughter, and the daughter was being abused. And it's so weird because that the daughter had a child with the abuser, and I don't know, because I'm not that close to know if she had another daughter, but I don't know if it's with the same person.
If it's going
or
down
whatever.
the line,
yeah,
or
if it's
something.
going down the line. But
Yeah.
I will say that the daughter was in the home and saw,
Of course, yeah,
heard the abuse, but still wind up having a baby
from someone
for
that's
someone
abusive.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they don't know. It's like the norm. It's like for abuse or drugs or whatever the case may be that created your trauma. They think it's normal. They think it's the norm
They could think that.
because it's all they see. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's is what happens in my house, or maybe that happens in every house. But let me define generational trauma to you. Generational trauma is emotional wounds, behaviors, fears, or survival patterns passed from one generation to the next.
Yeah.
So it isn't about blaming parents. It's about awareness and healing. And many of our parents did the best they could with what they had, and they did. And that's not to be taken away. But staying, I don't know, maybe, in your example, the daughter saw the mother getting abused, and it's honestly, people think it's the norm. They think it happens in every house until they're taught otherwise, and then they get it. Sometimes it's too late before they get it, right?
That's the way I look.
Yeah, Ralph grew up in an alcoholic, drug addicted family. And I told him the other day, Ralph, it's a blessing that you don't drink, you don't do drugs. Because I'm talking about strung out, heavily addicted to the point they lost their lives.
Wow.
Drug overdoses.
Wow.
Alcoholism to the point that they got sick. I'm like, that is such a blessing that you didn't do that. He was like, yeah, I saw it and I didn't want to do it.
That's right. Because I did too. Oh, I grew up in a house where there were a couple of people that were alcoholics, and I refused to be like that.
Yeah, some people, and it's God's grace. Some people, it's God's grace, but some people just say, they look at it, they see it, and they said, I'm not doing that. And it could be with anything. It could be with education. They said, I'm going to get my education, okay, because I don't want to work at the factory.
Ooh,
it could be with
me.
smoking cigarettes, okay? Well, they smoke cigarettes and our house smelled, okay? I'm not going to smoke cigarettes.
Oh my gosh, that was
absolutely,
me.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
It goes both ways.
Oh, that was me. My aunt smoked like a chimney. I remember as a kid, stepping on hot cigarettes because she would just drop them or something.
Oh no!
And I hated cigarettes, hated them. And I'm like, I am not. Did I try them? Yeah. I tried to be cool one time, but I didn't like it.
I did when I think I was 16.
Didn't like
I
it.
tried
And I was
it.
like, I am not going to be a smoker. I can't do it. And it's funny because John was a smoker for many years.
What?
Yeah, can you believe that?
Wow.
He was a smoker.
I can't believe that.
He said he quit in the 90s and he cannot stand smoking. He can smell somebody smoking. And I'm like, John, stop. They have, we're outside, they can smoke.
My parents used to be heavy smokers when I was like 5 and 6, and they would smoke in the house. And then one day they just stopped cold turkey, both of them.
Wow.
Okay.
So let me give you some stats. ACE, the Adverse Childhood Experience, there's a study the CDC did, and nearly 61% of adults report at least one ACE, meaning one adverse childhood experience.
Yeah.
That's about 1 in 6 report 4 or more. 4 or more. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Higher ACE scores are linked to increased risk of depression, anxiety, addiction, and chronic disease. Children exposed to chronic stress can experience changes in brain development. And studies show that trauma responses can be learned. It can be learned behavior. In some cases, stress patterns can even influence gene expression.
Wow.
That's getting
Yeah.
really deep there, but
That's a
it's
lot.
so we didn't even need to read these stats because we all know people that follow the pattern. Like you said, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it or you're going to embrace it. Maybe not even love it, but it's like I've heard people tell me, I will never be like my mom, or I will never be like my dad, or I'm not going to treat my children that way.
Yeah.
And they break the pattern. It stops when somebody breaks the pattern.
And you have to be intentional
You have to be intentional
about breaking the pattern. That means you might have to get help, counseling,
Yes.
therapy, etc., to really work on it. Because sometimes you see yourself just doing it
Without noticing.
and then you're like, oh wait, hold up.
So that's why I think
Yeah.
that a lot of there's a lot of anxiety in this nation right now. Depression and anxiety are like very high. There's a lot of prescription drugs that go
That's
into that.
true.
And a lot of it is because maybe we have some trauma that we experienced and we don't know how to deal with it. And just as Renisha said, there are resources out there that can help you with that. Hey, we all have. I can sit here and talk to you about childhood trauma or generational trauma that I experienced. I think, well, as the data says, 61% of us have experienced something.
Absolutely.
And
I'm
sometimes
trying
more
to
than
think.
one.
I can't think of anything. I'm trying to think though.
Yeah.
If there was something that I experienced in my childhood that was
Like even spanking or your children. I came from a very strict, disciplined spanking household. And that was like the norm. All my friends got spanked. The ones that didn't get spanked, and I'm using the word spanked lightly because it was more like beating. But it was the norm. But I didn't like it as a child. So I made a vow that I was not going to do that to my child. Not for anything, not so often, not so harshly.
Give us an example.
An example is just like sometimes I remember a friend in high school, she came one time with just a severe injury. It was bad. And she said a family member did it to her. And the teacher, I mean, it was a clearly severe injury to her body.
Wow.
And we could all see it. The teachers knew about it. And she said who did it and why. And it was nowadays jail.
Yeah, you can't get away with that.
It would have been jail time. But then it was like, oh, well, she misbehaved. She got a severe type of punishment and it was okay. That was interesting to me.
It could be something, Suzanne, I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to do that because this just came over my spirit.
No,
It
no,
could
go
be
ahead.
something as that we don't think about as being severe. And what came up in my spirit is leaving your child alone. Leaving a young child alone. And that child being responsible to feed themselves and take a
happens
bath
too.
Yeah.
or whatever, entertain themselves. And I think of that as well.
That happens too, like child neglect. There's
Yeah.
so many categories that can go in here. Child neglect, child abuse, sexual abuse, verbal, emotional abuse. You cannot lay a hand on your child and still abuse them. And I think that's one that people overlook. Well, I don't hit them. I'm not abusing them. But if you're talking down to them and calling them stupid and dumb, and like I had a lot of little rules in my head. I would never call my child stupid. I was called stupid. I would never call him stupid. I remember one time I got really mad at Kevin. He was a teenager. I don't remember what it was. We were having a big argument and I said, shut up. Oh my gosh, Mom. because we said be quiet. We didn't use shut up.
Oh boy.
Listen, I was
That
at
was a good household.
He was abused in his mind, but that's because it wasn't the norm in my house.
I just remember being a shy and quiet child, and I just remember with my son, the one thing I tried not to do was embarrass him.
Oh yeah,
Because I had a parent that was embarrassing.
Okay.
And that really affected me because, when you're younger, you care what people think.
Yes, you do.
Like right now, I don't care, right? But at that time, in your formative years, a lot of things affect our children in their formative years. And we got to be really careful because, my saying is, we can jack up some kids. Okay?
We can.
Absolutely.
You
We
always
can.
said that.
We can.
I remember you saying that to me when I first met you. You said we can jack up some kids, and I never forgot that. And I even told my son today. I said the hardest job in the world is being a parent. We are responsible for this human being, and we try to do the best that we can not to break them because we can break somebody's spirit real quick. And imagine a child. And it's not just about child. Women and men get abused. Grown adult men
Absolutely.
can get emotionally and even physically abused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're too nice and they're not going to punch you back.
Right.
But it happens.
Anyway.
How about some of the type of trauma? How about this one? Financial instability. That can happen.
I think
Yes.
that's across. That touches a lot of families
Yeah.
because they're not taught financial responsibility. So it
Yes.
just goes on and on and on. And I get it a lot when people want to buy houses and they haven't learned that credit is important
Right.
to purchasing a home. They don't even know about credit.
Wow. Adults.
Yes.
They weren't taught. Look,
They weren't taught.
They weren't taught, so they don't
And
know.
I was like, yeah, you can't do it with that score. You know why? Because, and I had to go through the, and explain because everybody wasn't exposed to good financial practices.
Look, I grew up in a household in Puerto Rico. Everything was cash. My grandparents didn't even have a bank account until later in their years when I don't even think my grandpa had one. I think his Social Security check came in the mail. But my abuela, later in her years, they started doing direct deposit. So then that's when it started. But they didn't even bank. They kept the cash, I don't know, maybe underneath his mattress. I don't know. But they would cash his check and everything was paid cash. So he didn't know anything about credit. My grandpa doesn't even, they bought their house cash. They didn't drive cars. So
What year were they born? In the 18 or
my
early
abuela
19?
was born in the 1898.
Yeah.
And my abuela early 1900s, 1915, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But
that's normal.
they didn't do cash. So then when I'm leaving, my mother didn't, they only did cash. And then when my mother, she did do some loans, but I didn't have any knowledge of financial
Same.
because literacy, because they didn't teach it, because they didn't do it. They not that they were irresponsible. Cash was king in my house.
Yeah. I didn't know about purchasing a home until I purchased one. And my parents bought 10 houses. My parents bought at least 10 houses. We were always buying houses. They built a brand new house from scratch. They bought land. And I did not know the home buying process until I was like 40 when I bought my first house.
I remember when we bought it the same year. I wanted to buy a house and I had a plan with someone that fell through. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go buy a house. I didn't think I could buy a house. I was kind of bluffing, honestly, because my score then wasn't
That's a
great.
big bluff.
Yeah, but I said, I'm going to go. I made an appointment with the broker. I sat down and she said, you're pre-approved for this much if you take care of this and this and that. I was like, oh. I
Yeah.
went back. I took care of this and this and that. And I bought my first house. And then Teresa said, wait, what? I'm missing. You're like, wait, what? You bought a house? Okay, let me check it out.
I know, because we're all, you know why? Because I was just thinking that I was thinking about credit score, and I was thinking about like collections. I was thinking about salary, you know, all of those
All these-
components that
Yeah.
you need to think about.
Down payment.
Yeah.
I need a huge down
All
payment.
that,
You don't need any of that.
So got an education, and I think I was 41 when I bought 41, 42
Let's see.
when I
Make sure
bought
I
my first house. But anyway, and I tell the young people in my family, you don't have
Don't
to wait.
wait.
You don't have to wait.
Oh my gosh, you can buy a house in your 20s. This is what we were talking
Oh,
about the
man.
other day. Buy your house in your 20s. You, especially how rent is so stinking expensive now. And that gives not only your children stability, it gets them generational wealth.
It
And I
does.
know
Yeah.
you can go
Yeah.
about
Oh,
that all
man,
day.
y'all are singing. It's like y'all are like
She
music
loves it.
to my ears right now. What y'all are saying.
Well,
Because generational wealth is important.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
and I know we just went off on a small tangent, but that's okay, because
That's
it's all about
this is
educating
important.
y'all, because
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
important. And this all goes back to generational
And breaking the
education
cycle.
and breaking cycles and things like
'Cause
that.
that's right.
So it's real. But I want to ask you guys a quick question, because I know we're going to wrap it up. The one excuse that just burns my goat is people were telling me, or people will say, well, that's the way my parents did it.
Oh yeah, I
You
know.
And it's like, at some point, you guys, you have got to make a decision about what it is
Yes.
that you want, don't want, will do, won't do, and not use that as an excuse, because
Yes.
to me,
True.
that is an excuse.
That's an excuse if you're hurting others or your children or your relationships. It doesn't even have to be your children. It could be your friends, your partner. It's not okay. It's not okay that, but I'm sad about what happened to you, and I'm preaching to the choir. We all have trauma. It wasn't fair. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't needed, but it can stop. You can be the one that stops it moving forward.
Absolutely.
And just to reiterate some of the things Renisha said, it's therapy, apologizing. That's an easy one. Just apologize to your child. Learning emotional regulation. Stop. If you know you're getting ready to lose it, walk away. Count to 10. I mean, there's just a lot of resources, a lot of things that you can do. Name your emotions out loud. Right now, I'm really angry about whatever. But you know what? I'm going to step aside. I'm not going to let my emotions take over. Create new traditions, things that are good and happy, and think about some traditions that we can talk about as I cover the last one. Practice repair after conflict. There's going to be conflict, but resolve it and come back to
I
it.
would say first recognize there's some trauma. A lot of people like to hide it and like sweep it under the rug and be okay with it and not even know why they're doing what they're doing. I would say recognize it first and try to identify what you're doing that's being repetitive from maybe something that you learned from your childhood, and then do all the things Suzanne said. Then you can start the process.
And what about, let me flip it. What if you are the one that's receiving the trauma? That's tough, right? What if you're the one receiving the trauma?
That's bad.
And
I've
you-
seen children go through things like this.
And you're the one that needs to go back to the person, and sometimes they don't receive it. They don't. You're like, hey, you did this to me and that to me, and
But
they
that's
don't-
not your responsibility.
Yeah.
Because I just believe that in your heart of hearts, if you're truly repentant and you want to change, then you take that first step. And if they don't receive it, then I believe that God honors that. I just do. And I will add not one last thing. I would add this, because this is very important, and this is from my heart, is that talk to God about it. All right. Just have a conversation. Because y'all would have been shaming me yesterday. Not shame, but y'all would have been talking about me because I was in my house talking to the Lord yesterday. Because, stuff. Life is lifing.
That's right.
And I was just talking to him because I need answers.
That's right.
That's right.
All right.
And he'll give you answers and he'll give you strength. And it's going to take a village if you're in a situation like this to kind of like talk to people.
Yes.
Go to counselors. Talk to your friends. Hey, this is happening to me, or I'm doing this. What do I do? How can I handle it? Because this is something, unfortunately, or fortunately, that you're going to have to do with others. It's not going to be, if you keep it to yourself, it's not going to stop. It's going to continue. It takes a lot of willpower to break a cycle. But if you have the resources,
it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. But if you have the resources and the Lord to help you and guide you, you can do it. So
there you go. Okay.
Let me close with this statement, this takeaway. Generational trauma isn't our fault, but healing is our responsibility. So just because it happened to you and you're doing it, paying it forward, this is something you don't want to pay forward. And we can't rewrite our childhood, but we can rewrite what our children inherit. I love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
You don't want to
that.
give. Yeah, I don't even have to explain that. So we hope you enjoyed this episode and it was healing. And if not anything, kind of made you think and reflect. Where am I at? What am I doing? How am I being treated? How am I treating others? And it will encourage you to get the resources and the help that you need to change the cycle.
Yep.
All right. We'll catch you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Do us a big favor and hit that like button, share this episode, and subscribe.